Hello, this is Mike Hayes, and on this video we're talking about guitar notes for beginners. In particular, today we're looking at how flats work on the first string of the guitar. And we're going to do this in 3 easy steps. The first step is to find the location of the natural notes on the first string of the guitar. Now by natural notes I mean notes that are not sharpened or flattened. And again, as you can see on the screen here, I'm relating the location of the notes on the guitar fingerboard to that of the layout of the notes on a piano keyboard. And just to make sure you understand how you're viewing these diagrams, the body of the guitar is at this end of the diagram and the head of the guitar is here. Now as you can see, between certain natural notes there's a space, there's a fret space, and this is where the flats occur. Essentially what happens is that each note, when it's flattened, moves 1 fret towards the head of the guitar. An easy way to think about the concept of flats is that, let's say we had a flat tire. If you had a flat tire on your car, the tire would go down, and that's exactly what happens to flats on the guitar. If we're looking for a B flat, we'd locate the note B on the first string, which is at the 7th fret, and we'd find B flat 1 fret closer to the head of the guitar. So the note B flat would be at the 6th fret. So we'd have B, and we'd put the little flat sign next to it, and the flat sign is just a small B placed next to the note. Step 2 is to see how this relates to the location of the flats on the piano keyboard, and we can see, for example, this E, we could relate that to the E on the 12th fret of the guitar, making that our starting point. We can see in each instance we have the flat to the left hand side of the page. We'd have E moving back to E flat, that's the black note on the keyboard. We have D, D flat, C moving back to C flat, and actually you can see here that C flat can also be called B. B flat is then found to the left of B, A moving back down to A flat, G, G flat, F, and then of course the next note would be F flat. So we'd have F flat, and put the little flat sign next to the F, and F flat can also be called E. And so I'll just extend my guitar diagram here to include the open E. That's the first string open. So that could be called E or F flat. And here we have the note B, which could also be referred to as C flat. Now in these instances where we have a note that can be referred to 2 ways, for example E could be referred to as F flat, as we've just said, this is called an enharmonic, and we spoke about this on our video when we're talking about sharps. Essentially the term enharmonic means that the notes look different but they sound the same. And now we're going to move on to step 3, where we'll just explain what happens when we want to flatten the open E. Okay, here we are at step 3, and we're trying to work out how do we flatten the open E note. Now up till this point it probably makes sense, if you think about it, that when we have a note and we want to flatten it, the way to flatten that note is to lengthen the string. So for example, earlier on the video we wanted to flatten the note B. We knew that B was on the 7th fret, so we just went back 1 fret and we found B flat. Now of course the problem is we can't go back 1 fret when we want to flatten the open E. So to understand how this works, I'm using a diagram that shows us how to tune our guitar without an electronic tuner. And essentially what we're doing here when we're tuning the guitar with this method is that we're wanting to get the pitch of the first string to sound exactly the same pitch as the second string at the 5th fret. So because we can't find a way of playing E flat on the first string, we go across to the second string of the guitar where this pitch is duplicated, and then we flatten that E. So if we needed to flatten the open E string, we'd actually play the note E flat on the second string at the 4th fret. And that's how we find the flat notes on the first string of the guitar, and this video has been about guitar notes for beginners, and I hope you've enjoyed it.